Multi-Treasure Studio. This right here is the project I'm working on right now, this vanity desk. I think in my before picture I posted yesterday or the day before, I called it a child's desk. It's the only thing that I can think of because it's really small. It's not your typical large size vanity. I don't see an adult sitting in this, but it's gorgeous and I'm looking forward to finishing that up with you here tonight. The thing you see on the top, I actually started sanding and I go, wait a minute, I forgot to do a before picture. So I had started sanding it. There's kids' names carved in the top and it really needed to be sanded. I do plan on staining that, and I may do that tonight. So the first thing I did was paint it with DixieBelle's new product, their bonding boss, and I used gray. I also added some Would You Bend moldings. You can see there. These are actually parts of number 1354. And on the picture, on the video, you can see that I'm painting Pure Ocean. The colors are across the bottom, but I used Pure Ocean. And then I did a light wash of the Gulf, mainly towards the top 2/3 of the piece. Lots of misting, kept it pretty wet. And brush strokes mostly going vertical. And then some horizontal, but I really wanted to keep this loose, knowing that I'm also going to come back then a wash of sea glass over that. I have Haint Blue, and I'm using Haint Blue as a highlight color. So I've got those 4 colors out today. But I wanted you to see the process that I have up to this point. So again, bonding boss, Pure Ocean, and then Pure Ocean was really loose too. I wasn't trying to do a full coat. I left pretty open. And then also sea glass wash over the Gulf. So those are the 3 colors. The one thing that I haven't done yet is I've not added sea glass to the side. So I'll do that with you right now. I have the mirror off to the side, but these are some of the pieces that go to the tops of the mirrors. See if I can show you that again. It keeps the mirror in place, and so those have been painted, and I may touch those as well. But let me just demonstrate real fast. I wanted to showcase how I might apply that sea glass. So first thing you want to do is just wet down the area you're going to work on, maybe even mist your brush. You don't want to do any dry. For this one, I don't want to do any dry painting. This is not the same idea that I have done before where I use a rag and I kind of dab it. I didn't really want to do that. I had originally thought about doing some wet distressing on here, but I really wasn't getting the look I wanted, and I think it's because I don't have enough contrasting colors. So in this particular technique, if it's feeling dragging and dry, it's not wet enough. So again, I don't have a lot of paint. Just keep it thin. If you want to, you could maybe thin it out in a bowl and brush it on wet. But I just use the misting bottle. And you can see again, most of my strokes are vertical. You can do these back legs. Not that most people can see that. And just random, loose, something like that. I mentioned that I may stain the top tonight. I'm just kind of, you might miss it a little bit. So I was really hoping to do more with you tonight, but I'm really liking where this is at. So I want to just add a few more touches with you, and we'll just keep doing a few things until we feel like we're in a good place. So the next thing I said I had was Haint Blue. If you compare it to sea glass, Haint Blue is, again, blue, but it's lighter than sea glass, and I need a highlight color. So I'm going to use that. I just love how the washes all work out. If you look closely, there's 2 or 3 colors in there, and it works really well. All right, so this is, again, part of a Would You Bend molding. If I could show you, I'm not sure if I could do this, but basically, I don't know, they fit in there somehow, I forget, but I just heated this up and cut out the 2 little curves. And so I used 3 pieces to get that entire look. So here's where you might just catch highlight. I could do Gold Gilding Wax, but I don't know that right now I want to over glam this piece. And I could always do more gold gilding wax later on if I decide it needs a little bit more bling, but that's one way you can use like almost white or a highlight color to highlight the decorative elements. You can see how the darker, I left some of the darker colors towards the edges. I like that effect a lot. So this is Haint Blue. I don't know that there's a, you could probably custom mix one, but I'm not sure that there's a lighter teal than sea glass. That's one reason why I switched to Haint Blue. If you have any questions, feel free to put those in the comments. All right, do you see how there's kind of a little bit of a vignette here? A part of that's because as I added layers, I put more and more color towards the middle. I'm gonna go a little bit more. So I'm gonna mist just this drawer front, take a little bit of the Haint Blue. I'm gonna get one of my bell brushes. I've been using that a lot lately. This is the bell brush. This is not blending, this is what I consider shading. And I say shading usually when I'm not blending into another color. So I'm just put a little Haint Blue there. It is wet, so now I'm going to fade that out. So if you ever want to highlight a section even more, sometimes I'll use shading to darken a section, but you can also do it to highlight. And so this almost gives you the effect of blending without having two wet colors. Now, if you compare that to the other side, you can see how big of a difference that makes. If it's too much, well, the easy thing to do is just to wipe it off and erase it. Now, there's still a little bit of paint in there. Let's do just a little bit less. My camera may not be showing it very well. This may be one of those techniques you kind of have to wait to see the stage photos, because when it's wet. Okay, so I dialed it back a little bit. Right now it's just so wet. Let's do another one. I'll try and shield the lights from this panel so it's not so, maybe isn't so much. Just a touch of paint, not a lot. It's probably enough. Gotta work wet though, if you're ever doing shading. If not, you're gonna really not get the movement you want. It's almost like watercolor. Okay, I'm gonna use my rag and wipe off a little bit. Might even just do a little bit of erasing. And back in there with the bell brush. So that's one way of bringing in a highlight. You need to add, I feel like I'm a little off balance. So we're just what I would consider editing right now. How about if we add a little bit of a glow? Let's put a little bit of glow on this panel here. Try to not get the previous area wet. Just put a little bit of Haint Blue there. And do you see my wrists are almost doing like infinity symbols? It's kind of like the technique I use most of the time. Everything underneath is dry, just this color is wet. And it's, you know, dab, erase. The technique you want to do now is, well, the thing you want to keep in mind now is keeping both sides the same. The fun thing about this technique is that you really, the wash technique, it gives you the ability to not be perfect because the wash it's gonna drip, run. So go left and right, up and down. But I really am aiming only to keep that color. You're almost moving that paint, so you can see that sometimes you gotta put some paint where it isn't. But this is a great way to highlight, create a glow around something. And when I put the hardware there, it's just gonna shine really well. I don't want the highlight around here, if you'll notice, there's more of a dark edge. If you remember from the highlight video I showed at the beginning of the live, I painted pure ocean, and then when I did the wash, I just left some pure ocean there. So this is just another way. And I think that works really well. It's gonna just shine, highlighting with the Haint Blue. I think I'm just gonna kind of hit some areas. This is more of a dry brush, just to give it a little bit of character, maybe look a little bit worn, almost like it was faux distressed. So I'm just hitting some of the edges. I like how the pure ocean is in the crevices, and as I added washes, I just left that pure ocean in there. So this dry brushing will bring out some of the dents and cracks and give it a little bit more of a fun, authentic look. You see how I'm hitting the corner? So you could do something like that. I don't have much paint on my brush, but this just gives it a little bit of detail. You see these, you might just hit a little bit of highlight on those with, see how my brush is flat? Let me get a little bit more paint. I don't want much at all. And I'm dragging the paint off. And if you need to, discharge onto, you know, your table or a rag. So here's a little bit of different view. Hopefully the camera's focused on that. You can use as little or as a lot of this technique as you want. It's really up to you. So look at this hardware. Again, I have cleaned it. And you can see this little section here, it's a different kind of metal, so it kind of retained its shininess, but the rest is starting to turn silver, so it's plating or whatever they use to finish these is just, it's done, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna come in there with Gold Gilding Wax. You could probably do copper, bronze. Gold is just my favorite. And just either, let's go ahead and, there's two ways. I could just do the hot race areas and let the dark areas stay dark. Okay. So I'm going to be pretty aggressive with getting the gold in there. If you read the instructions on the container, there's specific guidelines. I guess they're guidelines. Let's see if I can, I don't know if I could read that small. Spread a small amount of gilding wax with your finger, cloth, sponge. Let the gilding wax dry for 4 hours. Lightly buff after 12 hours. So basically, you know, there's an element of buffing, and it will shine up more. So if you've never buffed your gilding wax, now you know you can. But this is going to look, well, let me finish this up and we'll take a look at it. You do not have to top coat this. It probably will wear off a little bit over time, but you could top coat it, but I'm not sure it will. So let's take a look. And I think that's gonna look stunning in there. This is the part that I was telling you. I could put some gold on the wood you bend, and I may. Let's put a little touch on there and take a look. If I don't like it, we could take it off. Well, I can't really take it off, but I can let it dry and paint over it, right? See if I can get you a little higher. So since I have the Haint Blue on there, I probably won't cover it all up. Just maybe a little bit of just here and there. Almost like it's worn off over time, but it'll help tie the piece together. And I'll probably put some of this on the decorative pieces of the mirror. So I'm just giving you some options. Again, you could leave it white, you could paint all of it gold. Sometimes I just play with it and see what speaks to me and the piece wants me to do with it, you know. So that little bit of gold might help tie everything together. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. Don't forget to follow me over on YouTube And thanks for tuning in tonight. Pass this on if you want. All right, we'll see y'all later. Thank you for watching.
That's the end of the show. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye.